Imagine a puppet whose strings are so thin, they're invisible even to the person being moved. We often think of control as shouting or force, but the most dangerous shifts happen in silence. These hidden movements occur right before our eyes, yet they remain perfectly masked by everyday social interactions. Have you ever left a conversation feeling completely exhausted without actually knowing the reason why? You might believe you are in the driver's seat, but someone else could be steering your emotions. Like a puppet on invisible wires, your reactions are being carefully choreographed by a hidden hand. This isn't about physical power. It's about the subtle art of psychological control and emotional influence. Master manipulators don't need to raise their voices to bend your will to their specific desires. Instead, they use a series of quiet maneuvers designed to bypass your natural mental defenses. What if I told you that you have already been moved by these strings today? Research suggests that manipulation happens to most individuals multiple times throughout a single typical day. It occurs at the office, within your home, and even among your closest, most trusted friends. You are the target of these subtle shifts more often than you would ever care to admit. These interactions aren't accidental. They are calculated attempts to gain an unfair advantage over your mind. Because they happen so frequently, we often mistake this toxic behavior for normal human connection. We call it a slow-acting poison that tastes like honey, sweetening the control until it's too late. By the time you feel the sting, the manipulator has already established deep psychological roots. They might start by placing you on a high pedestal just to see how you balance. Or perhaps they use a love bomb to overwhelm your senses before the cold isolation begins. Every mixed signal is a carefully placed brick in a wall built to keep you confused. They are constantly testing boundaries, searching for the small cracks where they can insert their influence. Even your own suffering is turned against you through the competitive drama of the Pain Olympics. Master manipulators rely on 5 specific tricks performed in complete silence to maintain their total control. These tactics aren't made of wire or silk, but of words, silence, and subtle psychological shifts. Understanding these methods is the first step toward cutting the strings and reclaiming your personal autonomy. You deserve to know exactly how your reality is being shaped by those around you. We are going to unmask the silent patterns that keep you feeling drained and emotionally trapped. It is time to look closer at the quiet moments where your power is being stolen. Are you ready to see the invisible strings that have been guiding your life until now? Let's pull back the curtain on the 5 silent tricks every master manipulator uses to win. To stop being moved, you first have to see the hands holding those invisible strings. These maneuvers require no shouting or anger, just surgical precision and absolute psychological control. We are entering a vault of secrets that master manipulators use to dominate in silence. Are you ready to see the blueprint of a psychological cage designed just for you? First, imagine being placed on a pedestal so high it feels like a beautiful dream. This is the love bomb, a golden trap meant to make you feel uniquely special. But what they give with one hand, they eventually threaten to take away with the other. Next comes the Pain Olympics, where they always win the gold medal for internal suffering. By playing the victim, they force you to carry their emotional weight without any complaint. Watch closely as they begin testing boundaries to see how much you will truly tolerate. It starts with small intrusions that slowly erode your sense of self and personal space. Then come the mixed signals, a chaotic dance of hot and cold that keeps you guessing. This confusion is a powerful drug, making you crave the very person who hurts you. Finally, they move towards slow isolation, cutting you off from the world outside their influence. They convince you that no one else understands you or loves you as they do. These 5 tricks form a silent architecture of control that most people never even notice. Why is it that the most dangerous control doesn't look like control at all? Understanding these maneuvers is the only way to cut the strings once and for all. Let's look at the first maneuver, the one that feels like a dream before it becomes a cage. Prepare yourself, because once you see these patterns, you can never unsee them again. It starts with a feeling we all crave, the magical feeling of being truly and deeply seen. We are taught that someone being too good to be true is a blessing, but it is often a trap. In the manipulator's world, this initial rush isn't about love. It is about building a dangerous pedestal. This technique is known as love bombing, where excessive affection is deployed as a calculated psychological weapon. It feels like an overwhelming wave of warmth designed to drown your natural instincts and better judgment. The first trick is convincing you that you are incredibly lucky to have been chosen by them. They make you feel like the only person in the room, creating an intoxicating sense of unique specialness. While real friends build trust slowly over time, a manipulator will rush in with intense, unearned speed. Does a real connection actually move this fast, or is it a scripted performance meant to dazzle you? They act like master architects, building a rapport designed to make you feel instantly and perfectly understood. They shower you with constant compliments and laugh at every single joke with surprising, practiced enthusiasm. Why do they seem to remember every tiny, insignificant detail you have ever mentioned in passing? By mirroring your interests and values, they create a false mirror that reflects exactly what you want. This is the pedestal technique, where they lift you high above everyone else in their secret world. Being on that pedestal feels amazing, but it leaves you vulnerable to the height they have created. Once you are comfortably settled on that high perch, the manipulator begins to slowly withdraw their affection. They start by giving you wonderful feelings, only to take them away without any clear explanation. This sudden coldness forces you to work harder just to regain their fleeting golden approval once again. You find yourself trapped in a cycle of highs, chasing the initial rush of that first love bomb. This shift creates a world of mixed signals, leaving you confused and desperate for their vanished warmth. They are testing boundaries, seeing exactly how much you will endure to stay in their good graces. Soon, you might even find yourself participating in their version of the Pain Olympics to prove loyalty. This intense focus often leads to isolation, as the manipulator becomes your only source of emotional validation. This cycle of psychological control turns your natural desire for love into a cage of your own making. But once they put you on that pedestal, they own the height and decide when you fall. After the fall from that pedestal, you might wonder how you reached such heights so quickly. True connection is usually a slow burn, but manipulators prefer a sudden, blinding flash of light. They bypass the natural stages of friendship to create an artificial sense of deep, lifelong intimacy. Genuine friends build trust over months and years, letting the foundation settle firmly into the ground. A master manipulator rushes this process because they cannot survive the scrutiny of a slow reveal. This tactical rush is often disguised as a rare, soulmate connection that feels absolutely perfect. This is the art of the love bomb, where excessive affection becomes a calculated psychological weapon. They shower you with praise and attention until your internal radar for danger is completely overwhelmed. You might feel chosen or special, but this manufactured intensity is actually a form of control. By flooding your senses with validation, they make it impossible for you to see the red flags. While real passion grows through shared experiences, love bombing is an aggressive, one-sided assault on your emotions. They use this phase to begin testing boundaries, seeing just how much of your life they can occupy. Before you know it, their constant presence starts the process of isolation from your other support systems. To spot this trick, you must perform a simple speed test by intentionally slowing the relationship down. Watch how they react when you ask for space or decline an invitation for a single night. A real friend respects your limits, while a manipulator will often respond with guilt or mixed signals. They might even play the Pain Olympics, claiming their need for you stems from a tragic past. This manufactured crisis forces you back into their orbit, reinforcing the invisible strings of psychological control. Learning to distinguish between healthy heat and a tactical fire is your first step toward emotional safety. Once you understand the rush, you can begin to see the next layer of their silent game. In this game, the winner is the person who hurts the most. Welcome to the Pain Olympics. What happens when you finally try to stand up for yourself against their subtle psychological control? The second trick involves playing the victim every single time the master manipulator makes a mistake. Instead of taking responsibility, they immediately shift the focus toward their own personal suffering and hardship. Have you ever noticed how your valid concerns suddenly vanish when they start talking about themselves? They ensure their own pain always appears much larger than yours in every single social interaction. This competitive need to be the biggest victim is what experts call the legendary Pain Olympics. When you bring up a problem, they flip the script like a seasoned movie director during filming. Instead of offering a genuine apology, they recount stories of their bad childhood or terrible workdays. How did your request for respect turn into a long lecture about their past emotional trauma? Manipulators use these mixed signals to keep you off balance while they escape any real accountability. They are constantly testing boundaries to see how much of their drama you are willing to accept. This tactic ensures that your needs are always overshadowed by their manufactured or exaggerated personal crises. While truly strong people can offer a sincere apology, weak people turn every situation into their story. They use their vulnerability as a weapon to maintain isolation and keep you focused on their needs. Every time you seek clarity, they provide a new reason why they are the one truly suffering. Their strategy is simple: make you feel guilty for even mentioning your own feelings or personal boundaries. Why are you always the one saying, "I'm sorry," when they were the ones who messed up? The pedestal they once put you on is now replaced by a stage for their own tragedy. By the end of the conversation, you find yourself apologizing for their mistake instead of your own. Control isn't seized all at once. It's negotiated in inches, starting with the smallest, most invisible infractions. After the Pain Olympics, the manipulator moves to their third trick, the calculated art of testing boundaries. They aren't trying to destroy you yet. They are simply seeing what they can get away with. It starts with something minor, like borrowing a small item and conveniently forgetting to ever return it. You might notice they are consistently 10 minutes late, subtly forcing you to wait on their schedule. These tiny infractions are intentional probes designed to see if you will stand up for yourself. When the small tests pass, the boundary testing advances to much larger and more frequent violations. They might suddenly cancel your long-awaited plans at the very last minute with a vague, flimsy excuse. Perhaps they ask to borrow money, knowing that refusing a friend feels much harder than giving in. Think of them like a predator testing a fence, looking for the one weak spot to break through. Every broken rule is a measurement, helping them gauge exactly how much psychological control they truly possess. They are meticulously gathering data on your patience, waiting to see where your personal breaking point lies. If you finally find the courage to confront them, the manipulator has a scripted defense ready. They will look you in the eye and insist that you are simply being far too sensitive. Another common tactic is claiming the entire hurtful situation was actually just a harmless little joke. This response makes you question your own reality, wondering if you are indeed overreacting to their behavior. By dismissing your feelings, they reinforce their control while making your boundaries feel completely invalid. It is a cold, clinical process of seeing how much weight your spirit can carry before snapping. They aren't just being flaky or forgetful. They are taking your pulse to map your future submission. These small infractions are the silent blueprint for the heavy chains of psychological control. The silent blueprint becomes a vocal defense when you finally dare to point out their subtle infractions. When you catch them testing your boundaries, they rarely apologize for crossing that invisible line of respect. Instead of taking accountability, the manipulator instantly flips the script to make you the problem. You might notice a sudden shift in their tone, turning cold or mocking when they are confronted. One of the most common weapons in their arsenal is the dismissive claim that it was just a joke. This phrase is designed to invalidate your feelings while painting your reaction as completely irrational or dramatic. If you don't laugh along, they use your discomfort as evidence that you simply lack a sense of humor. By framing their boundary crossing as lighthearted fun, they successfully dodge any responsibility for their hurtful behavior. It's a clever trap that makes you question your own perception of what is actually happening. Behind that supposed humor lies a calculated attempt to see how much disrespect you will actually tolerate. When the joke defense fails, they pivot to a more direct form of psychological control and manipulation. They look you in the eye and calmly suggest that you are simply being far too sensitive. This accusation shifts the focus away from their original action and onto your emotional state instead. Suddenly, you are the one on trial, forced to defend why you feel hurt or disrespected. You find yourself apologizing for your reaction rather than receiving the apology you originally deserved. This is how they maintain their psychological control while keeping you stuck in a cycle of self-doubt. By labeling your healthy boundaries as oversensitivity, they effectively train you to stop speaking up. You begin to swallow your concerns, fearing that any objection will lead to another lecture on your sensitivity. They want you to believe that your intuition is flawed and your emotional compass is broken. These scripts are not random outbursts, but are part of a larger plan for deep isolation. Every time you accept their deflection, another brick is added to the wall of your psychological prison. Understanding these patterns is the first step toward reclaiming the power they are trying to steal. Recognizing these scripts allows you to see the manipulator's hands moving the invisible strings once again. Their goal is to make your boundaries feel like burdens rather than essential safeguards for your soul. Once you spot the pattern, the power of their deflections begins to wither and lose its grip. And once they know where your boundaries are, they start the dangerous game of emotional gambling. Hot, cold, presence, absence. If you are confused, you are exactly where they want you. The fourth trick is a calculated storm of confusing mixed signals that keep you perpetually guessing. This tactic involves alternating between intense warmth and sudden, icy distance without any warning or reason. These mixed signals are designed to keep you off balance and obsessively focused on the manipulator. You begin to wonder what you did wrong to cause this sudden shift in their affection. Inconsistent emotional behavior functions exactly like a slot machine in a loud and flashing casino. You become addicted to the rare good moments, just like a gambler chasing an elusive jackpot. Remember the pedestal and the love bomb from the beginning of this psychological control journey? Those early perfect days are the high they want you to crave through every cold winter. The unpredictability makes those moments of kindness feel much more valuable than they actually are. You are left feeling like a tightrope walker, constantly adjusting to survive the changing winds. Why is the good version of them so addictive even when they treat you poorly? It is because they have trained your brain to view basic kindness as a grand prize. Instead of looking at their behavior, you focus inward, trying to solve the puzzle of them. This internal focus is a subtle form of psychological control that keeps your mind captive. By keeping you off balance, they ensure your energy is entirely directed towards seeking their approval. You find yourself waiting for the jackpot that never comes, wasting your precious emotional currency. Every small smile becomes a coin in the machine, feeding the hope of a breakthrough. But the house always wins when the game is rigged to keep you losing your balance. This cycle creates a private world of confusion that contributes to your growing sense of isolation. Recognizing this pattern is the only way to stop pulling the lever on their emotional machine. You are not broken. You are simply responding to a calculated system of intermittent reinforcement. You are not in a relationship. You are playing a game where the house always wins. It is time to step away from the table before you lose everything you have left. But a manipulator cannot keep the spell going if someone else is pointing out the clever trick. The final step is the most dangerous because they need to ensure you have nowhere else to turn. The fifth silent trick involves isolating you from friends and family without you ever noticing the shift. This psychological control is far more effective when your world shrinks down to a single toxic voice. It begins by planting tiny seeds of doubt about the people who have always been by your side. They might subtly suggest that your parents are controlling or your best friend is secretly competing with you. When was the last time you saw your oldest friends without feeling a heavy weight of guilt? Imagine them slowly cutting your safety net, one strand at a time, until you are completely dangling alone. This strategic distance removes any outside perspective that might challenge their distorted version of the truth. Without a trusted sounding board, you stop hearing that this chaotic relationship behavior is not actually normal. You are being turned into a psychological island, separated from reality by a sea of manufactured suspicion. Are those seeds of doubt they planted actually true, or are they tools designed to keep you trapped? Remember that real friends and healthy partners will always encourage you to nurture your external relationships. True love wants you to be surrounded by support, not locked away in a private emotional prison. A manipulator sees your support system as a direct threat to the absolute power they crave over you. This is the silent evolution of their control, moving from your internal boundaries to your external world. By the time you feel the loneliness, the trap has usually been set and successfully triggered. They want you to believe that they are the only person on earth who truly understands you. Every connection they sever makes you more dependent on the very person who is actively hurting you. When you are alone in the room with them, their version of reality is the only one left. In this fog of isolation, it can be hard to tell who truly has your back. Let's look at two paths to see where your relationship is actually headed right now. While the love bomb feels like a pedestal, psychological control quietly plants seeds of doubt. They might mention a friend's small mistake until it feels like a massive betrayal of trust. These subtle comments are designed to make you question the loyalty of those who love you. Suddenly, your sister's advice feels like interference and your best friend's laughter feels like mockery. This calculated isolation ensures that their voice is the only one you still feel comfortable hearing. They want you to believe that everyone else is just waiting for a chance to fail. It is a slow, quiet process that turns your support system into a source of anxiety. But now, imagine a completely different world where your connections are celebrated rather than criticized. A healthy partner sees your external relationships as a vital part of your personal happiness. Instead of planting doubt, they actively encourage you to spend quality time with your old friends. Real friends and partners push you to call your mom or grab coffee with a colleague. They understand that your life is richer when it includes more voices than just their own. This encouragement is a clear sign of someone who values your independence and emotional well-being. They don't feel threatened by your history or the people who knew you before them. In fact, they celebrate the community that helps you grow into your very best self. Compare these two experiences closely to see which one mirrors your current reality today. Is your partner a bridge to the world or a wall that keeps everyone else out? One person wants to be your everything, while the other wants you to have everything. This litmus test reveals if you are being nurtured or facing subtle psychological control. Isolation thrives in the shadows of doubt, but healthy love grows in the light of connection. When someone truly loves you, they want your circle to be wide and your heart full. They know that your strength comes from the many people who have always supported you. Trust the people who want you to stay connected to the world outside your relationship. You might be asking yourself why you were chosen for this exhausting game of psychological control. If you have been targeted, it is not because you are weak or somehow lacking. In reality, it is because you possess something incredibly valuable that they desperately want to own. Think of it this way: a thief never wastes time trying to break into an empty house. They look for the home filled with treasures, searching for the most precious things to take. Your kindness is not a vulnerability. It is a rare currency that manipulators crave for themselves. These people specifically seek out those who are trusting and naturally want to believe the best. They are drawn to your light because they lack a genuine inner glow of their own. To a master manipulator, a good person represents the ultimate prize in their dark, strategic game. They see your empathy as a resource they can harvest to fuel their own ego and desires. Every time you gave them another chance, you were showing them the depth of your value. Your willingness to forgive is the very thing that makes you so attractive to their control. They don't target the cold or the cynical because those people have nothing left to give. Instead, they look for the hearts that are open, warm, and ready to offer true connection. They use the love bomb to gain entry, knowing your goodness will make you stay. Once inside, they begin testing boundaries to see exactly how much of your spirit they can claim. They rely on your belief in the best of humanity to keep their own masks firmly in place. While you are busy trying to save them, they are busy trying to consume your inner strength. It is a cruel irony that your most beautiful traits are the ones they use against you. But recognizing this truth is the first step toward reclaiming the power they tried to steal. You were never the problem. You were simply the most valuable person in the entire room. Your kindness is not a flaw. It is the prize they have been trying to take. Now that you see the value of your own light, you can stop letting them dim it. It is time to protect your gold and stop funding someone else's emotional bank account. Awareness is the only shield that actually works against these invisible strings of control. Now that you see the strings, are you ready to finally stop moving? First, recall the pedestal where you were placed during that initial intense love bomb. When you feel that sudden drop, recognize it as a calculated tactical rush. Can you see it happening now as they suddenly pull that affection away? Identifying this pattern is the first step to regaining your internal psychological power. Next, watch for the pain Olympics where they always claim the winner's gold. They use the victim trap to make your needs seem small and irrelevant. When your pain is met with their bigger tragedy, you are being played. Refuse to enter this arena where your emotions are traded for their control. Then comes the subtle testing of boundaries, negotiated in small and invisible inches. Watch for the tiny infractions that slowly erode your sense of personal safety. If they ignore a small no, they are preparing to take much more later. Your boundaries are not suggestions. They are the walls of your emotional fortress. The fourth trick uses mixed signals to create a dangerous slot machine effect. You keep pulling the lever, hoping for the kindness they used to show. This emotional gambling keeps you hooked on the hope of a rare psychological win. Recognize the intermittent reward for what it is, a hook designed to trap you. Finally, notice the slow isolation as they build an island around your life. They cut the lines to your support system until they are your only reality. A manipulator fears the person who can see their tricks from the outside. Keeping your connection strong is the ultimate defense against this psychological control. These 5 tricks are the blueprint they use to keep you dancing on strings. By naming the behavior, you strip the magician of their most powerful illusion. Who holds the power in your life today? You or their clever tricks? Your awareness has become a shield that no manipulator can easily pierce again. You now have the map to the exit. All you must do is walk through it. The sooner you set your boundaries, the sooner you get your life back from silent control. This is just the beginning of your journey toward true psychological freedom and lasting inner peace. You now recognize the 5 specific tricks master manipulators use to control you in complete silence. No longer will being placed on a pedestal feel like a gift rather than a trap. You see through the artificial intensity of the love bomb that once blinded your better judgment. The exhausting games of the pain Olympics can no longer drain your empathy and your energy. Every time someone starts testing boundaries, you will stand firm like an impenetrable stone fortress. The confusion of mixed signals and emotional gambling loses its power when you demand absolute clarity. Isolation cannot take root when you nurture the connections that truly have your back and heart. Setting these boundaries is the first step toward reclaiming the life they tried to quietly steal. Are you ready to protect your energy and escape the trap of subtle psychological control today? Maintaining your freedom is like tending a garden that requires constant care and watchful, protective eyes. Will you join our community in the pursuit of psychological freedom and lasting emotional strength? Subscribe now to gain more insights on how to outsmart manipulation and keep your power. We provide the tools you need to build a life free from the negative influence of others. Your journey toward healing and strength continues with every video and every boundary you firmly set. Remember that you deserve a life where your kindness is cherished, not used as a weapon. Together, we will continue uncovering the blueprints of control until the shadows have nowhere to hide. Take a deep breath and step forward into the light of your own sovereign, independent mind. See you in the next video, and always remember to keep your power and your peace.